Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. My next guest is a clinical psychologist who has her PhD from the University of Chicago. She is adjunct faculty at a number of universities and is here to celebrate and take us through a beautiful process to truly create our year rather than simply have a resolution. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Sue Drury. Hello.
Hi, Orgena.
Hello, Sue. How are you, darling? It's so good to see you.
Same here.
I am so glad you're with us today, and it's great to have you on the show so that you can really help people to actually create the year or create the very things that they're wanting to have, but usually don't know how to take themselves through and actually create it, right? It's just a resolution. It's something they want, but not actually how to get it.
Well, it's also that sometimes we don't really take time to reflect and look at what brings us joy rather than focusing on what's wrong. Like, I got to lose 10 pounds. I got to exercise. Instead, really reflecting on what you want and what's going to nourish you and what's going to make you feel joyful and alive.
That's key. That's really huge. And that's a great shift to immediately think about your joy, right? What makes you want to get up and...
And part of this process is just one of the things you do to do that. But this is something that my husband and I used to do almost every year on New Year's Day. And it was a way that we could not only get in touch with what each of us wanted, but we could also look at how our goals align and how we can create more joy and aliveness for each other.
That's beautiful, and to do that as a couple, right? So each individually and then come together to do that. That's beautiful. And you were married for how many years?
33.
33 years. Oh my goodness, that's phenomenal. Really, truly phenomenal. And is this something that you still now do now that your husband has passed?
Yeah. It's also something we used to do with our kids when they were teenagers, believe it or not, looking at what they want.
Yes.
So it's a question that we've asked as a family for a long time.
That's really beautiful, and I think incredibly powerful for us to really note, you know, especially for teens. They want to be heard and listened to. I know that's how I felt when I was a teenager. I wanted to be respected and heard. And so that you included them in this process, I think, is so beautiful and so key. So what was the question that you would ask?
It's a whole series of questions, actually, and I'm not going to go through all of them.
Right, right.
I want to talk about a few things that you might want to reflect on.
Okay.
And part of the questions that we asked ourselves, and then I'll take you through a process that's called perfection planning. Really looking at how your life would look if it were going perfectly.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Also, I want to talk a little bit about how you then take that and create those opportunities in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, actually implement it, right? Because it's one thing to just think it or plan it, but you actually have to implement too, correct?
Yeah, and the thing is, though, we don't have to do it in that forced way. We don't have to do it as big things.
Yes.
It's partly just being aware of the little things that nourish you, that make you feel alive, and making sure that you take the time to actually do them.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because that is the key. And it was the first thing you said, it was taking the time. So that's what it's about. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I can't wait to really get into that process, and we're going to get to have a great taste of that today. But what I would love, Sue, is just to hear a little bit about your background as a psychologist and some of your work, especially around trauma, because that's really your specialty, yes?
Yes. Well, I've had a number of different things I've focused on over the years. I've always been really in touch with women and personal growth and empowerment. I was trained as a Gestalt therapist a lot of years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And also in the last 15 years have been specializing in helping people to let go of trauma so that they're free to really be fully present with their lives here and now.
That's huge. That's huge because it's a little difficult to be free if we're all kind of carrying around this big sack of stuff, right, from the past and all of that. So that's beautiful that you really help people to release those things. And you've been doing that work for how long, would you say?
Probably 15 to 20 years.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent. And so when we come back, we're going to get a little bit more into that process. And I love that you call it perfection planning because I don't think many of us allow ourselves the time or the chance to really just imagine what would really be like great. What would be a perfect day? What would be a perfect week or life or any of that? And understanding though in that perfection, we know that, it's not about it has to be this way, right? It's not that rigid sort of thing, right? There's flexibility in that, but just allowing ourselves the space and time to do that, yes?
Well, it's two parts. It's getting in touch with some of the real things we do and can do. And it's allowing ourselves to just dream without worrying about, can I do it? Can I make it happen?
Right, or how is it going to happen?
Dreams emerge without having to have the how. And then begin to look at day to day. How do I create that nourishment and joy and aliveness that may take me toward that perfect day?
And I love that you just said that too, aliveness, because I don't know if you can see what I can see, but this woman is truly amazing. And she's 72 years young, but you would never know that. 72, and you are just as alive and vibrant. Your schedule, I think, is busier than mine. And
I hope not.
And you're on the go, and you do what, Tai Chi and Qigong, all sorts of different things, and still leading women's groups and practices. So I just love your life and how you let your light shine, and you're so vibrant and have so much energy, and you don't let things keep you down and stay, sit still. You're like still out creating. So this process that you're going to take us through is going to really help people to do the same. All right.
You bet.
And we're going to do that right after this. This episode was sponsored by Soul Purpose Branding. Put your soul into your brand. Get your business on purpose. With Sabine Messner, the wizard of Soul Purpose Branding. soulpurposebranding.com. And welcome back. We are here with Dr. Sue Drury, who is about to take us through a perfection planning process and really share with us some questions to help actually create the very dreams that we are desiring to have. So, Sue, what are some of those questions that you would like to ask us?
One of the first ones, and one of the things that can help us build up to the fantasy, is asking ourselves what our gifts, talents, and skills are. Some people have a heck of a hard time doing that.
That's very true.
If you do, then one of the things you can do is ask your friends to make a list. In other words, call your friends and say, tell me 5 things that you think I'm really good at, or tell me 5 things that you think are true of me.
I love that.
And just collect a list of those gifts, because sometimes other people can see them better than we can.
Oh my goodness, Sue, that is so, so true. And literally, that's how this has even come to be for me. Others saw this for me long before I saw it for myself. So I think that's beautiful, really powerful, powerful tool. Okay.
The second question I used to ask in terms of what are your weaknesses, and that's such a trigger for people that I changed the question. The question is, what do I want to learn? What do I feel like I need more of or more skills at? And through the years, every time I've done this process, I find 2 or 3 things that I want to learn that year,
Okay.
and go about adding those, taking a class or consulting with a colleague. But it's, where do I want to grow myself over the next year?
I like that. Yeah, that's a great reframe.
Another question that I ask is kind of the bucket list question. What are some things that I like to do someday? You know, all of those dreams that maybe you put on the back burner because you didn't have time or thought you couldn't. But being able to say, okay, what are those things? For example, for me, one of the things on my bucket list is to go bird watching in Costa Rica. And so that's something I'm going to try to do in the next couple of years. The next question that I ask people is to just look at what resources you have available to you. A list of people that you feel will support you, a list of, for example, I have lots of books, and that's one of the resources I have. One of the resources you have is all your gifts in music. And so you can draw on that anytime.
Yes. Yes.
Another question, and this one's really the most important one, is to just sit there with pen and pencil and make a list of all the things that you do that make you feel alive and joyful. And they can be little tiny things. For me, for example, living in Phoenix, the sunsets are just breathtaking.
Yes.
And I'll look at the sunset. I love water. I'll look at the reflections on the surface of my swimming pool. Or I'll look at flowers. Or I'll hang out with friends around a fire.
Or
So
birds. Yeah, birds, right? Also watching
birds,
birds. Yes.
you bet. I see a new bird. I
Yes.
learn something new. I mean,
Yes.
there's lots of those little things. And sometimes you don't even stop to pay attention to them. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But get in touch with those things that nourish us and give us joy, and then committing to make sure that we do some of them.
Yes, that's the
Sam,
piece.
walking, if walking in the woods does it for you,
Right.
then you're really letting yourself down if you don't take those walks in the woods.
Yeah. Yes. Making the time, taking the time. Absolutely.
Taking the time. There's another piece of, and that's a guy named Rick Hansen, who's a neuroscientist. He wrote Buddha's Brain, and has just had published a book called Hardwiring the Brain for Happiness.
Yes.
And what he says is we have to not only have those nourishing experiences, but really stop and pay attention to it. Notice the nourishment. Take 30 seconds or a minute and revel in it. Dwell on it.
Yes.
Remember it.
Yes.
I once did a project. I had a book, and I just wrote down all the beautiful experiences that I met. And it was times that I was camping with my kids, times that I was out in the woods, times that I was sitting on the beach watching killer whales swim by.
Wow. Wow.
And we're so surrounded by beauty and by nourishment that if you really stop and pay attention to it, no matter what is going on in your life.
Yes.
What Rick Hansen says is that we tend to be Velcro for negative and Teflon for positive. So that the positive experiences we dwell on, and the negative experiences we dwell on.
Right.
The positive experiences, we just let them go by as if they never even happened.
Say that again. I really love that statement. We are.
His statement is we're Velcro for the negative
Yes.
and Teflon for the positive. And what he said
I love it.
is that it's biologically programmed because we were programmed to be aware of threat.
Right. We had to be on the alert, right?
Uh-huh. And so we have to start shifting the balance.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
our brain is focused on the negative, focused on the threat, and not taking in enough of the positive.
I think just even knowing that, I know for me, when I first started hearing statements like that, it was huge. I didn't know that that was almost a default, right, for the brain. And so I actually had work to do to balance that out, to not allow myself to stay in that default. And a lot of people struggle with that, and they think, oh, something's wrong, and there's all this stuff that happens around it, instead of just knowing that's how the brain is hardwired. That's how it's made up. And there's not something wrong or bad. You know, it's just allow yourself now that you know this, start noticing what's beautiful, what brings you joy, and focusing more on that. So just switch the paradigm a bit. Yeah?
Yeah.
And we have the power to do that. Let's pause and we'll come back and kind of close things out and find out how we can really, really integrate this beautiful process into our day. So we'll finish up just after this.
This episode was sponsored by Soul Purpose Branding. Put your soul into your brand. Get your business on purpose. With Sabine Messner, the wizard of Soul Purpose Branding. soulpurposebranding.com.
And welcome back. We are here with Dr. Sue Drury, who just took us through a really beautiful process. Thank you for this process. So now, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, a couple things. One is that you can take the answers to all those questions, the strengths, the things you want to learn, things you want to do someday, the things that nourish you, and some of the things that came out of the fantasy. And begin to say, I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Yes.
But I can think about what would be a first step.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Because in other words, I'm not going to see the whole path.
Right.
But I might want to make a phone call or do something else. So you can begin to set some goals for yourself. But it's more than, it's once you know what nourishes you.
Yes.
Then you can begin to look at how you can just make more space for some of that right now.
Absolutely. And one step at a time. I think that's so key. Dr. Martin Luther King said exactly that. You may not see the whole staircase, and you might only see that one step. Take that very step that's right in front of you to take. And that's it. Don't worry about the other how and how it's all going to happen. Because then we get overwhelmed, we shut down, we close off, and all of that, right? So just stay open and do that first thing in front of you. Beautiful. What's the next thing we do?
Another thing is letting every single moment of joy and aliveness that you experience in your day soak in. Pay attention to it.
Yes.
Relish it.
Yes.
Drink it down.
Yes.
So that you're filling yourself with all of the things that make you feel joyful and alive. It's another piece of it too, which is in this whole process, what we got to let go of is beating ourselves up. In other words, the usual New Year's resolution is about, oh, I failed the last time, I didn't do it. We're thinking about past failures, past relationship woes, and that's just going to drag us down.
Right, right.
And so you have to commit to quitting treating yourself bad.
Yes.
To be able to reach out to yourself in a loving way.
Yes. I think that could be the number one thing on everyone's list, if you will, is to be kind to yourself, be loving and gentle with yourself through the whole process.
It's almost, it's dwelling on the good, dwelling on the positive,
Yes.
filling yourself with that.
Yes.
And again, you don't have to be in that perfect place, but what I've done and what my husband and I used to do is there'd be a piece of it that was just really compelling for me. And interestingly enough, in those images, I've often seen the places that I moved to.
Ah, so you've actually seen like it show up visually for you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I picture myself seeing pine trees out the window in the image. And then I moved to Flagstaff, Arizona
Yes.
with pine trees out my window.
Yes. Beautiful.
So there've been little pieces of it that end up, I end up following
Yes.
and allowing and creating.
Yes. I think those are two other key elements, is that allowing and following, because many of us will get the vision, the picture, the thing that we were always wanting, but then we'll shrink back from it. We'll do all of this talking ourselves out of it. Oh, well, I really didn't want that, or it wasn't that important, or a number of, you know, kind of stories we'll tell ourselves, and we won't actually step into the very thing that we were wanting, right? That we actually dreamed for ourselves, created for ourselves, and it's here, and we won't actually step through the door, right?
Well, and one of the things you're talking about, stepping through the doors, we have to see that there are doors first.
Ah, very nice.
In other words, someone once said, you know, well, there's so many opportunities out there, but if you're sitting on the couch and that's all you're doing,
Yes.
you're not going to expose yourself to those doors.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to be out there reaching for life and vitality. And so that you can be aware when a door opens and be willing to be curious and kind of take the risk and walk through it.
Yes.
Because you're not going to be able to get there sitting on the couch.
Exactly. Beautiful. And taking that risk, and it will feel that way, and it will be uncomfortable, but that's part of the process. And I think that's really key for people to know as well. It's not always going to be easy or feel comfortable. In fact, it will probably not feel comfortable. It will probably feel really uncomfortable and scary, and that's part of it, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I know this is exactly what you do, how you live, and it's so beautiful that you are that walking example, you know, and you've been doing it for quite a long, long time. So how can people connect with you and, you know, have you perhaps take them through this process in a more, you know, personable way, a personal way, or something of that sort?
Well, one of the things I want to do again, I used to do a lot of workshops that would do this kind of imagery and also work with some of the blocks, things that get in the way of our being able to move forward.
Yes.
Work with some of the fear.
Yes.
And I want to go back and start doing more of that kind of work so that I can help people get in touch with what they really crave.
Yes.
And then help free them to be able to do that.
Absolutely beautiful. And we are, of course, going to have your information and links to you so that people can connect, so that you can help them through those blocks, release those fears, and really create the lives that they're wanting to have. Create the dream. And we've begun the process today, but we'll absolutely continue it with you. Thank you so, so much for being with us, Sue. It's been a true, true pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for being with us today. And we hope that you were allowing yourself to see your dream so that you too can step in it and create it this new year. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today on our show. I really hope that there was something shared that really helps you shine your biggest and brightest light. Please stop by again, like us on Facebook,
tweet us, all of those good things. And most importantly, please always remember, it's all about love.